If you hear hoofbeats in the clouds, do not try to run. It is already too late. You know that moment right before a storm? That strange instant when the air turns heavy, electric, and every instinct in your body screams at you to hide. The animals know first. Dogs cower beneath porches, birds fall silent as if the world is holding its breath. You think a tempest is coming, but you are wrong. What is approaching your home brings no rain. Look at the sky. Those clouds are not drifting with the wind. They are racing, driven by an invisible whip. And inside that gale, you can hear voices, thousands of voices. The barking of hounds that are not of this earth, and the blast of a hunting horn that freezes the blood in your veins. This is the Wild Hunt. An ancient army of wraiths tearing through the heavens in search of fresh souls. The old ones know what to do. When you hear that sound, you have only one choice. Drop to the ground and bury your face in the mud. Because they follow one iron rule. If you see them, they see you. And then there is no salvation. You will be snatched up into the sky, into the heart of the cyclone, to ride with them for eternity. You will forget your name. You will forget the faces of those you love, and you will become one of them. So listen closely to the wind outside your window. Is it just an autumn gale? Or can you already hear the baying of the pack? It all begins with the night, but not just any night. Legends say the Wild Hunt rides when the sun is at its weakest. The time of the winter solstice, the 12 nights of Yule. This is the time when the ancient barrier separating the world of the living from the world of the dead becomes as thin as parchment. Until finally, it tears. This is why our ancestors feared these long winter evenings. They knew the darkness outside was not empty. When the hunt approaches, the sky changes in a way no meteorology can explain. The clouds do not drift, they swirl, forming gigantic black funnels that look like open wounds on the vault of heaven. The color of the sky turns a shade of rotten green or deep bruised violet. With this sight comes the cold. This is not the frost that nips at your cheeks. This is a corpse cold of the air. The temperature drops so violently that birds fall frozen from branches mid-flight, and water in buckets shatters from sudden freezing. It is a sign that the laws of physics have ceased to apply, that a gate to the underworld has just swung open. What hangs over your house is not an atmospheric storm. It is a breach in reality through which pure, primal chaos pours into our world. And chaos is always hungry. Before you spot the silhouettes in the sky, you will hear their dogs. But do not fool yourself into thinking it resembles the barking you know from country yards. It is a sound that drills straight into your skull, bypassing your ears. Legends across Europe, from the misty moors of England to the dense forests of Poland, describe this noise as the Gabriel Hounds or the Hell Pack. It is a high-pitched, piercing yelp mixed with a low, guttural growl that sounds like cracking rocks. They say these beasts do not run on the ground. Their paws strike the wind, striking sparks that we, down below, mistake for lightning. They are massive, larger than wolves, and their eyes burn with an unnatural red or green glow. But the worst part is what this sound does to the living. If you have a dog at home, you will see it suddenly lose its mind. Animals sense the presence of the pack long before humans do. Your loyal protector will cower in the darkest corner, trembling for its life. Or worse, begin to howl in a trance, answering the call from above. This is not a hunt for deer or foxes. This pack has been unleashed for only one purpose: to flush the human soul out of hiding. When you hear their baying, you know one thing. They are tracking, and their scent is absolute. Every pack must have a master, and the wild hunt is led by an entity older than recorded history. At the very front of the tempest, where the wind howls the loudest, rides he. Depending on whom you ask, you will hear a different name. The Germanic tribes whispered in fear of Wotan. The Celts spoke of the Elking or Gwynapnud. But names do not matter when you are staring into the face of primal evil. He is a towering figure, wrapped in a cloak woven from storm clouds and shadows. He rides a mount that should not exist, a monstrous steed with 8 legs whose hooves strike black sparks, or a skeletal stallion with ribs showing through rotting skin. But it is not the mount that inspires the most dread. It is the rider. On his head, he wears no crown of gold, but a crown of massive antlers that scrape the heavens. His face is a mask of age and cruelty. Legends say he has only one eye. He traded the other long ago for the knowledge of death. That single remaining eye burns with a cold blue light, like the North Star. He does not scream. He does not need to issue orders. He merely points a finger, bony and pale as a birch branch, and the entire army of wraiths surges in that direction. This is not a biblical devil. This is a pagan god of death who never left. And he has just looked at your house? Behind the Horned King follows no disciplined army. Chaos follows. This is the procession of the damned, an endless, twisting river of souls trapped in an eternal gallop. Who are they? If you look closely enough, which I do not advise, you will see a terrifying variety. There are ancient warriors in rusted armor, still bleeding from wounds inflicted in battles 1,000 years ago. There are murderers and oath breakers for whom the hunt is punishment for their sins. But the most terrifying sight is that of the innocent. Among the wraiths, you can see ordinary people. Shepherds who failed to descend from the pastures before dusk. Women who looked out the window to see where the wind was coming from. Children who got lost in the woods. They are all as pale as lime, and their eyes are empty, washed of hope. They do not ride of their own free will. They are slaves to the storm. You can hear it in the sound they make. It is not a battle cry. It is a howl of pain and exhaustion. You hear the rattling of chains binding some of them together. They race aimlessly, driven by the master's whip, praying for an end that will never come. Looking at them, you understand a brutal truth. They do not hunt for sport. They hunt because they are looking for someone to take their place. You know what is coming. You know what their hounds sound like. But knowledge is not enough to survive. There is one iron rule that mothers have whispered to their children for centuries. A rule that is harder to follow than you think. When you hear the hunt approaching, you must not look up. It goes against human nature. When we hear a noise, our instinct screams at us to identify the threat. Curiosity is a curse carved into our very souls. But in the case of the Wild Hunt, curiosity is a verdict. Looking into the eyes of the Horned King or any of the riders is like signing a contract. It is an act of acknowledgement. By making eye contact, you invite them into your world. You become visible. To them, your gaze is like a beacon lit in the darkness. That is why, when the gale strikes the roof and the howling is so loud that windows shatter, you must fight against yourself. Drop to the ground. If you are outside, bury your face in the mud, the grass, the snow. Cover your eyes with your hands. Become part of the earth, not the sky. You must play dead so that death might pass you by. You will feel their presence. You will smell the stench of decay and ozone. You will feel the gust of wind tugging at your clothes, as if they want to rip you from the ground. But under no circumstances, open your eyes until silence returns. For one stolen glance is enough for you to become part of the hunt. Why do they come? Is it merely the whim of bored demons? No. The Wild Hunt is more than a chase. It is a harvest. The Horned King's army must be constantly replenished. With every century, with every storm, the old souls weaken, fade, and dissolve into nothingness. That is why the pack needs fresh blood. It needs new recruits. Who is most at risk? Old tales say the hunt seeks those who belong to no one. It is believed that those who have strayed from the path fall prey. Drunks sleeping in ditches, suicides buried at crossroads, or children who have not yet been given a name. To the hunt, they are easy targets, unclaimed, forgotten, free for the taking. But there is a darker truth. Sometimes the hunt does not seek the weak. It seeks the strong. Sometimes they take someone in the prime of life. A young hunter, a strong woodcutter, a mother defending her threshold. The worst part of this harvest is what they leave behind. Sometimes the victim's body does not vanish. You find such a person in the morning, lying in the field or sitting in a chair, breathing, heart beating. But when you look into their eyes, you see only a bottomless well. There is no one inside. It is a hollow shell. The soul has been ripped from the body like a root from the earth, and is now racing high above the clouds, screaming into the void, while the body below slowly withers, unaware that it died long ago. Many people make this mistake. They think that if they manage to run inside and turn the key in the lock, they are safe. That thick oak doors will stop an army of ghosts. This is naivety. The Wild Hunt is not made of flesh and bone. It is an element. Where the wind can squeeze in, so can they. To the pack, your walls are like mist. If you do not secure your home with old rituals, they will enter without opening the door. The greatest danger lurks where you feel warmest, in the chimney. In old cottages, the hearth was the heart of the home, but for the hunt, it is an open gate, a highway straight into your living room. This is why, on nights when the pack is in the sky, the fire in the hearth suddenly dies, choked by an invisible hand, and a cloud of freezing soot bursts from the grate. Can you hear that? That is not rain drumming on the shingles. That is the clatter of hooves on your own roof. If you feel a sudden icy draft in a tightly sealed room, do not turn around. They can pour in through the keyhole, through the cracks in the windows. In some regions, people left bread and ale on a threshold to feed the hunt and bribe it to ride on. But if you left nothing, and you hear heavy footsteps in the attic, it means they have decided your house is part of their path. And now, you are a guest in your own home. When they catch you, you will not feel pain in the human sense of the word. You will feel gravity cease to exist. You will be violently yanked from your world like a doll snatched from the floor by a bored child. A cold, bony hand grabs you by the scruff of the neck and pulls you straight into the heart of the cyclone. One moment, you are standing on your floor. The next, you are looking down at your house from above. You see the chimney with smoke rising. You see the tiny windows with the lights on. You scream, you call for help, but your voice is instantly snatched away by the wind. To the people below, your scream is just the whistling of the gale in the gutters. You are on the other side now. Around you race thousands of other faces, contorted, terrified, and eventually, indifferent. The greatest nightmare is not the height, nor the cold. It is the forgetting. With every mile, with every hour of racing over forests and mountains, you lose a piece of yourself. First, you forget where you were going. Then you forget the names of your children. Finally, you forget your own name. Your skin turns white, your eyes go empty. You cease to be the victim. You become the hunter. You begin to howl along with the hounds, driven by an insatiable hunger you do not understand. From this night on, it is you who will terrorize the living, praying in the depths of your remaining consciousness that someone else will make a mistake, look up, and take your place in the ranks. Only when the first rays of the sun pierce the leaden clouds does the nightmare come to an end. The ghostly cavalcade dissolves into the mist, returning to where it came from, and the wind dies down as if someone blew out a candle. This is the moment when you can finally rise from the floor, when you can uncover your eyes and open the bolted doors. But the world you see in the morning will not be the same. Skeptics will say it was just a violent tempest, but the old folks know where to look for proof. The wild hunt leaves marks. If you go into the forest, you will see the tops of trees singed by a strange black fire, though there was no blaze in the night. That is where the hoofs of the hellpack flew, striking sparks against the pine crowns. In the fields, you might find strips of scorched grass where no grain will ever grow again. The earth in these places smells of sulfur and decay for weeks. But the most terrifying mark is not found outside. It is found within the community. The morning after the wild hunt is a time of counting. Neighbors knock on neighbors' doors, families fearfully check their children's rooms, and sometimes the count does not add up. Someone did not return from the woods. Someone is missing from their bed, the sheets cold and undisturbed. A conspiracy of silence falls over the village. No one reports the disappearance to the authorities, for what would they say? That the wind took a man? All that remains is an empty chair at the table and a silence that is louder than any scream. The wild hunt is not just an old legend you can close in a book and put back on a shelf. It is a cycle. It is a force of nature as real as the tides, as winter and summer. They are still there, racing just beyond the edge of the clouds, invisible to the human eye, until they decide to reveal themselves. So tonight, when you lie down to sleep and hear the wind scratching at the glass and tree branches striking the roof, ask yourself one question. Are you sure it is just the weather? Or perhaps right now, above your house, they are reining in their horses because they have smelled your fear. Turn off the light, pull the covers up, and whatever you hear, do not look up. That is all for today on Echoes of Legends. Turn off the lights and sleep well, if you can. If you are brave enough to hear the next story, subscribe to our channel and leave a like to keep the darkness away.